So, I don't know if anyone else has this issue, but I feel like lately people have gotten more and more like disingenuous and fake. And yesterday I ranted for a little bit about how I've been feeling lately and my depression and my anxiety and things are just really tough personally and in the world, I guess. And I just feel like every day I step out the door, I'm putting on a circus show performance for people, and it's not genuinely who I am. And so I know I'm part of the problem. But when the whole society seems to be operating that way, how else are you supposed to fit in or take on the semblance of normalcy? It gets really exhausting. And for somebody that's already introverted, which is ironic because I'm a yapper, anybody that talks to me off the street will know I'm a yapper. And maybe it's because I'm so introverted, I just have so much to say that I don't get a chance to talk about it. And I don't know, people catch me at a good time and I'm a yapper. But I just feel like I'm living the same day over and over and over again. And people are so, like, unspectacular. It's no wonder that people... Sorry. I just ate a taco. Sorry. Zero sugar. Zero Gatorade because I'm trying to do better, okay? I really am, and that is a step better than regular, okay? So, sorry, sidetrack, but I just get very exhausted pretending to be interested in things that have nothing to do with me, or I don't agree with, or out of obligation, I feel like I have to be interested because you're above me in a position of power, like you're my manager or something. Which, I go to work 5 days a week. I deal with a boss every day. So, and they have no interest in your life. I don't think I've ever had actually, I take that back. There's been a couple bosses I've had in my career that did care in some way about my life, which was nice, but they didn't last. They always ended up leaving or getting fired or quitting because that kind of persona doesn't last long in corporate managerial roles. So that didn't last. When did it become so normalized for us to dehumanize everyone? When did we think that treating people like robots was ever gonna make anyone happy, fulfilled, content, or well? And why would anyone in positions of power, and I'm talking about like anyone in position of power over a group of people, including the government, expect people to just be like, oh, this is fine, when you are literally dehumanizing them and treating them like a robot? And it's no wonder that so many corporations and companies want to utilize AI, because they never have to worry about having to ask, how's so-and-so doing? How are you doing? Oh, you called out sick. Is everything okay? They don't have to pretend any of that anymore. They just program an AI to do something and it does it, no questions asked, and it doesn't have a life. So they don't have to worry about any of that. And this is coming around at a time where I have seen commencement speech after commencement speech at universities getting big fat boo, big fat L's, because these leaders, like some guy from Google, we're praising AI and saying it's going to transform the world and there's nothing you can do about it, so you better get used to it and buckle up. No one, especially the younger generation, wants that to happen. Do you want to know why? Because it dehumanizes society, 1. It takes away jobs, 2. And it erases critical thinking, 3. And I'm sure there's plenty of other reasons that many people don't like AI or worry about its consequences in the long run and its impact on the economy, on the government, on socialization, on mental health, on physical health, like everything. So yeah, every day I get up, I go to work at the same job that I've had essentially for 3 years, and I can't help but ruminate about, is this all life is? Is sucking up until you can get into that person's position that you're kissing butt of? For what? So you get a fatter paycheck? Yay. I don't know if anyone's looked around lately. It's expensive out there. And I feel like that's contributed to the dehumanization because people are desperately trying to make more money, which means I think logically they'd be more okay setting aside their morals, setting aside their issues, setting aside that human quality so that they can get a bigger buck. And what's the incentive to doing that? By acting like your boss, who doesn't give a crap about you and knows you're replaceable, especially in an age where AI is growing and they might not even need your role anymore. So I see it everywhere. Like, I'm a yapper, okay? So it really stuns people when I ask them how they're doing. Like, if I don't ask how people are doing, they don't ever ask. They do it out of obligation because I already have opened that door of, hey, how's life going for you? Is everything okay? How are the kids? How's the wife? Oh, you went to the hospital? Are you okay? Oh, like nothing like that happens unless I initiate it. And yeah, I'm trying to think of the last time someone asked me, how am I doing? I can't remember. I literally cannot remember the last person at work or out in the world genuinely asked me, how are you doing? And meant it, not in the way of, oh, work was fine. I mean, how are you? Not your job. I don't know. And it's crazy that, I think I was just really picky today watching everyone interact or lack of interact with each other today because, I work retail, so I see many people every day coming and going. I see the same crew of people I work with, and then I see maybe the same customers, but most of the time it's people coming and going that I don't know, and I just get to watch them live their life. So it's interesting that, I'm having this observation today and connecting it to this dream I had last night because I have very vivid dreams every night. Like every night. And I am not exaggerating that point. It's gotten to a point where my dreams are so vivid that I started having nightmares that were so severe that I'm medicated now for my nightmares because they are indistinguishable from reality. So I wake up from these nightmares and I would be panicked. It would follow me the whole day. I'd be crying like when I woke up, and it would just like I would still have the residual feeling in my gut, or if I was terrified or sad or distraught, that feeling would follow me. That's how vivid the dreams got. So I have vivid dreams. But I had this dream last night, and I went to school to be an art teacher. That's what I graduated a couple years from my university with, is a fine arts degree and bachelor's with credentials for teaching, so education. So obviously I went into teaching when I graduated. And if you've been listening, I'm not doing that right now. There's a lot of reasons for that, but that's a whole nother video. That's a whole nother thing. Essentially, I left though because the wake-up call I got the first couple months teaching, I have never experienced in my short life, but I've worked a lot of jobs, okay? I've worked many different kinds of jobs all over the clock. I've had all different kinds of bosses, nice to not, and people that were nice to not. No job has ever made me go to the doctor because I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, I was throwing up in the morning, getting Sunday scaries every day to the point where like I was a ghost pretty much of who I was before. If you're a teacher out there right now, kudos to you. Like, I don't know how y'all doing it right now, and I'm actually ironically trying to get back into it. But so far I haven't, obviously I'm still working my other job, so obviously I haven't gotten a new job, but we'll see. But I had this dream last night that I was trying to get into teaching again, and I was waiting for a phone call, and for some reason I was like on campus somewhere. I was like at a university campus outdoors, and I was like, there was some kind of like festival going on campus or whatever, and I got a phone call, and I stepped away because I was like hoping it was a school calling me, right? And it was. I pick up the phone, and it's the principal for my old job when I was a teacher calling me, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. That's not the school I applied to, and I don't even know what he's doing anymore, but whatever. And he essentially, like, in the meanest tone you can imagine, was like, you do not get to be a teacher ever again. You are never gonna be a teacher. You're not good enough to be a teacher. You can't handle it, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, what? I was so stunned. I took a moment to, like, respond, obviously. And then finally I put my foot down, and I was like, you don't get to tell me what I'm capable of and not capable of. I know how hard the job is. I've done it before, and I've went to school for it, and I've a whole nother video. But school, college, did it really prepare me for what I dealt with? No. But the only way you learn is by dealing with it, right? That's the only way you learn. So I was like, that's not very fair for you to say that, sir. Like, did I get the job or not? That's all you have to say. You don't have to go into this whole psychoanalysis of my brain about what I can and can't do. And it, like, reminded me of, like, every job I've ever had when I woke up that bosses felt so hostile, I couldn't say anything to them because it triggered my fight, flight, fawn, or freeze response. The 4 Fs. I couldn't do it. I would dodge their advances, everything, like at every opportunity, because I could just feel their anger or frustration or how much they hated their job, just aura farming it. Just the way that, you know, how the Earth has a gravitational pull around it that keeps the moon in orbit, it felt like I was in their orbit and their gravity was their negativity. And if I got too close, I was gonna get sucked into it and, you know, shuffled around it. So I stayed the heck out of the way. And I feel like a lot of people do that now. I feel like people don't trust people. People don't believe people. People don't want to believe people because they're afraid they're not gonna have the same opinion as them and they're gonna get frustrated. Well, guess what? You're gonna be frustrated regardless. So you might as well just talk anyway. That's my opinion. It doesn't hurt to try. The worst that can happen is it gets awkward. But who has never had an awkward moment in their life? I want to meet them. Because what are your tips? I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'm just really tired of this year already. 2026, y'all. Why are people feeling so off? I mean, there's so many reasons. Just look at the news. I don't know. Look at what's going on in the world. It's not that hard to deduce what's going on. But it really still surprises me the comparison of how I felt when I was a kid, that things would get better as time went on, and that horrible realization when you become an adult of, oh, it doesn't get better. It just happens. It's not better or worse or whatever. It doesn't care about your feelings. Life does not care about what you can handle. It just does things. Whether it's in your control or not, it just throws things your way, and you have to juggle many balls, hoping not to drop anything, and just hope it will be okay. And I don't know how people do that every day without pondering, why am I doing this? Who set these expectations up? How can I get out of the rat race? And how can people go back to being kind and caring about each other? And I guess that starts with you. But I feel like I really go out of my way to try to talk to people and see what's going on in their lives. It doesn't really come back to me. And maybe that's my fault. Maybe I am neglecting to see that they care. But I'm normally pretty good at remembering when somebody asks me about my life or how I'm doing, because it genuinely takes me aback. And I have to go, wow, they actually care? Wow. That's not normally something I forget. Like meaningful conversations, you don't forget a meaningful conversation, especially if you have few of them. Like, you hang on to that stuff, like, even harder than if you have a million good interactions all the time. So, I don't know, that just, it stunned me today. It really did. I was like thinking on my break that everyone around me is doing the same thing I'm doing, and that we're all just okay with it. Or not even okay, but we're submissive to it. We don't do anything about it. The same way we rightfully, as a society, could just bang on the doors of the leaders and be like, that's not okay. The people are not okay. The people cannot afford groceries. The people cannot afford gas. The people cannot afford healthcare, daycare, XYZ. Like, the essentials to living and creating more life is not supported. And then you wonder why people are tired, and you wonder why people don't want to go out, and you wonder why people don't have friends, and relationships are not happening as much, and people aren't getting married as much. Do the simple math. It's not a mystery. So that's my rant. I just noticed there's this like bubble everybody's in lately. Nobody wants to talk. Nobody wants to get to know each other. Nobody wants to be friends. And that's so isolating and bad for mental health. I know. Trust me, I know. I isolated pretty much my entire high school career. I'm still working on it. I still isolate. I'm not gonna lie. I still isolate. But it's really hard to make connections if everybody's isolating. Because who takes the first step? I guess you have to. But let's say you take 1,000,000 first steps and only one of them maybe works out. You're going to get discouraged after a time. So, I don't know. I just really hope things will be okay. I made it this far. There are so many times, I'm 26, there are so many times I didn't think I'd still be here. And whether that was my problem or not, there were plenty of times I was like, oh, this is it. I'm not going to make it. But here we are. So, I don't know how are we doing? How are we all doing? How are we getting by? Are we getting by healthily or not so much? I'm not even going to blame anybody for how they're getting by, because it's tough. Whatever you gotta do to wake up and keep breathing and keep going on, as long as you're not hurting someone else or hurting yourself, you know, that's a little different. That's maladaptive. But how are we doing, y'all? Anyway, that's this rant. So yeah, bye.